Hi, Kevin. It's Darren for your interview.
Hey, how are you?
Great, and yourself there? Good day so far?
So far, yeah.
I mean, pandemic aside, of course.
Yeah. No, all's what
Okay, well, bring it here
my
to the
family so far.
Incoherents. How did you get involved with the movie? Did you have mutual friends involved with the production?
Yeah, Alex, I've known for many years. Back in the '90s, he had gone to college with the guitar player from my band, the Dambuilders. So I've known him for quite a while, and through the whole '90s uh, era of indie rock, um, and it came about where he was doing this movie and wanted to record these songs. So he had reached out to me to play drums, and I hadn't talked to him in a long time. And he knew Ray Ketchum, who recorded this at his studio here in Montclair, New Jersey, at a place called Magic Door Recording. He knew, but he Ray and scheduled the recording and asked if I would play drums, and I said, "Sure, I'd love to."
And how long ago did you record the drums for this movie? It's tough to know with movies because sometimes they're made a year and a half in advance, and other times they have a release date before the movie's actually done.
Well, so he was talking to me. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll do the interview. When did we do that?" Because time goes by. It was March of 2017.
Wow, March of 2017. Have you ever done another project that was done that far in advance?
I did a record uh, by the band The Rentals, which is Matt Sharp from Weezer. I recorded it in June, it was June of 1996, and I think the release date it might have been 5 years later. The album's called Seven More Minutes. so, so yes, and I did all the drums for that rather quickly, just like I did the Incoherents recordings. And then I never, it takes a long time for it to get made, and then when you actually release something, it can take a very long time, but because of the process. I'm trying to think of when it was an album called Seven More. Recorded it in London, and then it came out in 1999. So, and I did the drums in '96.
I know that album very, very well, Seven More Minutes. And if correct me if I'm wrong here, but didn't the singer of the Dam Builders also work with Rivers from Weezer on a separate project, or it somehow inspire Pinkerton?
Our connection with Weezer was we were touring, opening for Lush with them. So it was Lush, Weezer, and the Dam Builders. Our record came out on East West. Theirs had come out on Geffen, and they were in a van. So we were alternating who was opening for Lush. And then about a week into that tour, the Sweater song took off, and we were the first band on the bill. And then Buddy Holly came out shortly after that, and Weezer started to explode. The tour ended, and then when they released "Say It Ain't So," I think we were brought back out to tour during that time. But nobody from the Dam Builders worked on Pinkerton or influenced that I remember.
Got it. Well, bringing it back to you here, somebody who's going to look at your discography and all that, it looks like you never stopped working. When was it in the point in your career that you went from being guy in a signed band to guy who worked with a lot of different bands and had a lot of different projects?
Jeez, it was kind of very natural progression. So I started playing. I got into the Dam Builders from my friend Rich Costi, who you might know as he's a big, very successful mixing engineer now. But back when we were in college, I was recording drums for, I think, a project he was working on, the Swirlies. And he said, "Oh, there's this band, the Dam Builders, that are looking for a drummer. You should check it out." So I did that, and I joined the Dam Builders in 1991. And Rich Costi and I helped each other, as we went through our careers. And so it was through. I always wanted to record drums. I just loved being in the studio, but I also loved being in a band. So I was in the Dam Builders, and then we would play with other bands like Shudder to Think, Actually, Guided by Voices opened up for the Dambuilders in Boston in 1993, and that's how I met Bob from Guided by Voices. So I would, you're on tour, you're meeting people, and you're just hanging out, and you having fun.
Right. And of course, you're well associated with Guided by Voices. Not a lot is known about the process of Guided by Voices, except out of nowhere you hear, "Wait, there's a new album out." How far in advance do you get these calls, or is it kind of like you record a bunch of songs, then you yourself hear there's an album done?
Well, with Guided by Voices, just after September 11th happened, and I was in New York City, I was like, this is getting really hard to be a drummer, and I was on tour with this artist, Leona Ness, who's Diana Ross's stepdaughter. I always wanted to tour on a bus, so I finally got on a bus. We ended up having 7 different buses because they would break down or whatever. I was like, oh, maybe I didn't really want this. And then I realized, I don't know if I really cut out to be a drummer for hire, just for other artists and everything. I like to be creative and whatnot. So I decided it's getting very hard for me to do this. I think I'm going to switch. So I was going to go into cooking, which is not the greatest career to choose. And then I got accepted to Johnson & Wales. I was going to go there for culinary school. And then I got the call from Guided by Voices from Bob and management, because I was in a band called Those Bastard Souls that had opened for Guided by Voices, 99, I think it might have been. And I had been accepted the fact that I'm not going to be a professional drummer anymore. I'm going to move on. And I get this call, and it's like, Bob wants to know if you want to be in Guided by Voices. And you don't have to audition or anything. You just have, if you want to do it, it's yours. And I was like, what? So I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I called my wife and said, you're not going to believe this, but I was just asked to be the drummer for Guided by Voices. And she said, well, that's a no-brainer. So I called Bob back, and that forever has changed my life in that I've been playing drums professionally. That was in 2001, and I toured with them in 2002. And I've been able to be a drummer or a music educator since then. And then Guided by Voices came to an end in 2005, New Year's Eve, actually 2004 to 2005. And I started at School of Rock, or what was the Paul School of Rock, and I did that for a couple of years until my daughter was born, and then stayed home dad for a while, and then Bob asked me back into Guided by Voices again in 2013, and then that came to an end, and then he restarted it again in 2016, and we've been doing that ever since, and it's just been amazing. He's been, I owe a lot to him for keeping me going, playing music, and also the main part of what this movie is probably about that I connected with is age doesn't matter. It's desire, passion, and the ability to believe that you keep creating something new.
And have you been part of any film projects since then? Because it has been 4 years or so since you did the tracks on this one.
Movie stuff, like I did my friend Nathan Larson from Shudder to Think and Craig Wedren from Shudder to Think. I had done a lot of film scores. I did Boys Don't Cry. I did, what was the other one? School of Rock I actually did, coincidentally. With Craig did the score for that, so I played drums on that. Did Boys Don't Cry. Several other movies it's escaping me right now. But I have quite a few film scores I played on. What's the one with there's a song called Hot One. I'm sorry, I should have researched my own film stuff. It was the movie that was like a fictional version of David Bowie and Iggy Pop.
Was that Velvet Goldmine?
Yes, Velvet Goldmine, thank you.
But weren't you also in a band called Hot One with Nathan?
Yeah, then Nathan formed a band called Hot One in 2006, and I recorded with that, and we did a short tour.
Absolutely. So right now the whole world is in flux and everyone's kind of at home not knowing what they're going to be doing. But do you know anything that's coming up for you besides promoting this current movie, The Incoherents?
Well, I'm mainly doing Guided by Voices. We have a record out called Surrender Your Poppy Field that came out in March, and we were going to be supporting that with touring, and that came, we had to postpone everything, so we're looking at June and the fall and everything. So my main performing and recording, which Bob is really awesome, and he keeps creating, and I'm actually going to start recording this week, hopefully, for the next record that's going to come out, next year. We usually record an album and then it comes out a year after we've done it, but we do that every 3 to 6 months. We'll be recording another record. So it's so fresh and inspiring. There's nothing, like I said, I'm very fortunate to work with someone like Bob, who gets up every day and is creative, and shares that with us and the band. And so that's my main thing, is Guided by Voices, and then I'm the general manager at School of Rock in Montclair, New Jersey, which is keeping me busy with remote lessons that we're doing. So,
and were you the only person who played on the School of Rock movie or was involved in the movie that also got involved with the schools?
Tom Nadolski at School of Rock Montclair worked with Jack Black, apparently, to teach him how to play guitar for the movie, some part that he was working on.
Wow. Small world there.
Yeah, it was very small world, strange.
So being respectful of your time here, in closing, Kevin, any last words for the kids?
Focused on what's going to be next, and I strongly believe the relationships you have are going to guide you to what your next project will be, and probably greater than the last one.
Great. Okay, you gave me so much to work with here. Looking forward to your next gig whenever and wherever that is, but long time fan, so thank you so much for your time.
Darren, thank you.
Paltrocast.